And he goes on further to say that that Imam Ahmed said that there are 6 or 7 hadith which have been reported from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whichever a person does is permissible. And Imam Ahmed himself has chosen the narration of Sahal ibn Abi Hathma, as we'll see later on, inshallah. And he mentions a number of other scholars who mention different things. And he says that Ibn Hazm, this is all quotation from Al-Hafidh Ibn Hajar, he says, Ibn Hazm says that there are 14 different ways narrated from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Ibn Hazm has a separate book on this. He says further on after this, Ibn Qayyim, of course the author of Zad al-Ma'ad, and this is actually in Zad al-Ma'ad, Ibn Qayyim says this, he says that all of these different ways, all of them go back to the usul of 6 ways. Right? And he says that those who narrate more than that, they look at the ikhtilaf of the narrators. The narrators who were mentioning these different narrations, he said that each time there is slight variation, difference between the narrations regarding a particular story, they count that as a different way. You following, brothers? Does that make sense? So what Ibn Qayyim is saying, rahimahullah, in my own words, is that he's saying that the usul of all of these Salatul Khawf go back to 6. And that those who said more than that, what they consider is the ikhtilaf or the differences of the narrators. So you may have, for example, one incident where there are different narrators, so they may be giving slight variations. So these other scholars are counting each different narration as being one different way of doing the salah, and hence some of them come to 14 or 15 different narrations. So he says after this, Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah, he says that all these variations are ikhtilaf al-ruwat. These are variations from the narrators. And Al-Hafidh Ibn Hajar, he says هذا هو المعتمد. He said this is what is, if you like, considered as the reliable or the authoritative position. Okay. Further on is something more interesting as well, inshallah. He says that Ibn al-Arabi, quoting Ibn al-Arabi, the Maliki scholar, that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam prayed Salat al-Khawf 14 times. And he mentions another scholar who said Rasulullah prayed it 10 times. Okay, so there are variations, differing variations from the scholars. And he quotes Al-Khattabi, and this is a very important quotation from Imam Al-Khattabi. He says that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he prayed Salatul Khawf on different days, in different ways, and he would choose the way which was best for Salah. Meaning that he would choose the way that would preserve the normal form of the Salah. And also that which was best in defense against the enemy. Okay, so that may be the hikmah, wallahu alam, why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did Salah in these different ways. That he would choose, depending on the situation, he would choose the way that would be best in preserving the form of the Salah, and also that would be best in defending against the enemy as well. Is that clear, brothers? So he says that although they differ in their form, but they are same in the meaning. Wallahu alam. And this is what also some of the later scholars, Shaykh Muhammad al-Amin al-Shankiti, say as well, that the best way, the best description is in Salat al-Khawf is the one that is best in protecting the Salah and also in protecting oneself from the enemy. Okay. Right. Now, I'm going to, inshallah, look at now the actual descriptions. Before that, we have Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, see a number of hadith. He prayed Dhuhr and Asr, but none of these hadith mention the description of Al-Maghrib. And that's why Shaykh Haytham probably didn't talk about it. As Ibn Hajar rahimahullah mentions, Al-Hafidh, he says that none of the narrations regarding Salat al-Khawf mention the description of Al-Maghrib. So that we don't have from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam doing Salatul Khawf for Maghrib. But however, there is consensus, as Hafidh Ibn Hajar mentions, قَدْ أَجْمَعُوا عَلَى أَنَّهُ لَا يَدْخُلُهَا قَصْرٌ, that Al-Maghrib is not to be shortened. Okay, so even in the state of Khawf, Maghrib is still 3 rak'ah. Right, so it's not shortened. Okay. Now, having said that, I move on to the actual descriptions. And these descriptions are given in the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as we mentioned earlier, that from Imam Ahmad, Imam Ahmad mentioned 6 or 7 hadith. In other narrations, it says 5 or 6 hadith. Imam Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah in Zad al-Ma'ad, he mentioned 6 different ways. So this is what I'm going to go through, inshallah, one by one. So first of this is the hadith of Jabir, and 5 of these you will find in Bulugh al-Maram under the chapter of Salatul Khawf. Inshallah, all of the hadith are there in Bulugh al-Maram on the chapter on Salatul Khawf. The one additional one which Hafidh ibn Hajar didn't mention. First hadith is of Jabir radiallahu ta'ala anh. He says that I prayed Salatul Khawf with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and we formed 2 lines. Okay, we formed 2 lines. There was a line behind Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and this is in the case of when the enemy is in front, and that is that they are in front of you, in front of the Qibla. Okay, in other words, the Qibla is this way, so the enemy is in front of you. Okay, so the enemy is in front, as Jabir is narrating. So I'll give you the description. So Jabir says that فَكَبَّرَ النَّبِيُّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ, and we all did takbir. Okay, so we got Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he's praying in front, is 2 lines. So they all, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam starts with takbir, and they all follow with the takbir, both lines. Then Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam goes into ruku', they all go into ruku', both lines. Okay? Then Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he goes into sujood. The first line that is behind him, immediately behind him, goes into sujood with him. Okay, only the first line. The second line, the line behind, remains standing. So they are now facing the enemy. So this is like the line of defense now. The line in front are in sujood. So this line behind is the line of defense that is now looking out for the enemy. Okay, brothers? So they perform sujood. They do sujood, and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, in the first line, they come up from their sujood and they come and stand up. Okay? And then the second line now goes into sujood. And the second line goes into sujood while the first line is standing. So the first line now is obviously in the line of defense. So the second line now is gone into sujood, right? And once they finish the sujood, of course, to sajda, the second line comes up. Now both lines are standing up. Yes? The second line now comes forward, and the front line, the first line, goes back. Okay, the second line comes forward, and the front line goes back. So as you can see, there is a lot of movement here. And of course, there is some difference from the normal salah that we would pray. Okay, brothers? So then Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam would do the second rak'ah. So this time the line that is behind him would follow him first time. He would do the sujood, 2 sajda. They would follow, and they would do the 2 sajda, and they would remain seated. Of course, the line behind now is still standing. So they would now go into sujood while the others are waiting in sujood. And that second line now would perform their 2 sajda. Now they are all sitting, and that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam would end the salah with all of them together. You got that, brothers? Okay, I think if we had a practical demonstration, it'd be really good. Perhaps time wouldn't allow. But, okay, so can somebody say that back to me, inshallah? How is that first description? And this hadith is narration of Muslim, and there are other versions, inshallah. As I said, if you go to Bulugh al-Maram, you'll find the complete text there.